Hey everyone, how's it going? So today I've got quite a different video for you, and I'm going to tell you 10 brands that you cannot resell on Amazon because they will file IP claims against you. Now, if you happen to be here and you are new to Amazon, you're not quite sure what I'm talking about, IP stands for intellectual property. Basically, brands on Amazon have to allow third-party reselling, so that way people like you and me can sell their stuff on Amazon. If the brand decides that they don't want third-party sellers to sell their stuff, you'll often notice that listings tend to go quite quiet apart from the brand themselves being solely on the listing, or maybe it'll be them and maybe a handful of others that maybe have an exclusive deal with the brand, or maybe it's just the brand and Amazon. It'll be made clear to you. It'll be made very evident that the brand doesn't want anyone else selling their stuff. So the first brand that we have is Vans. Okay, now this one is a newer one for the list because, this was one of the super resellable things. Mostly because you could find Vans very cheap from lots of places. Here in the UK, I knew stores that were just flogging them off for like a tenner. So, Vans used to be a great one, and they've just been clamping down on third-party reselling, and now you can't anymore, not without an IP claim filed against you. L'Oreal, it's one of the big beauty ones, hair and beauty. It's one of the big ones anyway that people tend to avoid because they are very sharp with catching out third-party resellers, and no one really bothers with L'Oreal. So that's another big one. Hotel Chocolat. To be fair, obviously some of the only places you're going to get this stuff is from an actual Hotel Chocolat, and as we know, it's not the cheapest, so reselling this wasn't going to be the easiest anyway. They don't want anyone else reselling their stuff. Cards Against Humanity. Now, this one might come as a surprise to some of you, especially since there's obviously plenty of other card and board games out there that you can resell, but Cards Against Humanity is not one of them. JML. Now, this one took me by total surprise, simply because JML is just one of those things. Like in the picture there, you see it at the end of like a random aisle in loads of stores, and like they're always there with the little TV, and they've got like products that you don't really need, but it would be kind of cool if you had. And they're always popping up with the JML on the TV. So this one kind of took me by surprise a little bit, because I thought if anything they'd want they'd want to be out there a bit more, so they'd want third party reselling, because like they're in most stores with like the like random little shelving unit, and so that one just took me by surprise a little bit. But JML is on that list. Yankee Candle, again, this is one that is a veteran on the IP problem list. Yankee Candle's been one for a long while. Calvin Klein. As you can probably tell, I'm doing a mixture of different things on here. It might seem a bit random to you, but obviously these are a bunch of big brands, and Calvin Klein, you can find that in plenty of places, and a lot of the places, like for example with Sports Direct, they every time I've been, they usually have some form of sale on something Calvin Klein. So where you look at that and think, oh, there's an opportunity there, unfortunately not. Calvin Klein is a popular thing, however, we can't resell it on Amazon. Gibson's puzzles. Now, you might think, well, that's a bit random, but obviously things like this you'll find in loads of different stores, just sort of like there at the back somewhere, selling for super cheap, because obviously, puzzles aren't like a massive thing anymore. So, they're usually not super expensive. And obviously some stores, as I say, will host sales on these things to mark them down even more, because they got to get rid of them to make way for new stock and so forth. Puzzles, those of the Gibson brand, which does make up a lot of the puzzles that you'd typically see on the shelf. Unfortunately, no, we can't do that. The North Face, another popular clothing brand, that loads of people wear this. You might think, oh yeah, that's great, because obviously sales for this must be high. that would be awesome if it was sales that we could have a part in, but unfortunately not on Amazon. Salter, so sort of like homeware products that kind of make a bit more sense to resell. Like if we think of homeware, and obviously you think of the bigger things in the homeware category, you know, we're not going to be reselling a sofa or a TV unit or a wardrobe anytime soon. I mean, of course there's a chunk of sellers out there that are doing things like that, but if you are starting out, even if you are if you'd consider yourself like an intermediate seller, you know, selling massive things still might not make any sense to you. So when it comes to homeware, these are really the sorts of things that are your better options. Probably more, I would say, the kettle and the toaster out of those three, because obviously microwaves can be heavy and obviously they will accrue oversized fees and so forth. But yeah, Salter, one of the big homeware household item brands, that's not one you can do. So how do we check if the brand has known IP issues? Well, your best bet would be to use BuyBotPro, and one of the big reasons why I'm saying that is because BuyBotPro has one of the largest databases of brands that have got IP issues than pretty much any other tool out there, and that is due to the collaboration with the sister company Get and Suspended, and obviously they help clients who have had their Amazon account suspended, or they're worried that they're on the way to suspension because they've had an IP claim or whatever, and brands will be talked about, and those brands are shared with BuyBotPro, and that's how the IP radar is one of the biggest ones out there. So you are probably in safer hands using this IP radar in BuyBotPro than you would be using an IP radar in another tool. And it will quite simply show up as red if you can't sell it because there's known IP issues. Now, IP can change, so just because you see something that is red on the IP radar doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever, because some brands will change their minds and they'll go, hey, you know what, we want third-party sellers to do it. What you don't want to do is go for one that's currently okay but has a history of being problematic, because then you are basically just having to rely on timing it exactly right before they change their minds again. If they're back and forth with filing IP claims, then it's not worth it. It's not worth being caught out and putting your account at risk for something like that. That's obviously quite predictable if they've done it many times in the past, and you will be able to see that from sales charts, from competition charts, where all of a sudden at many intervals loads of people just drop off the listing and then they come back on the listing, then trickles, and then they just all drop off again, and it goes like that. And yeah, as I say, you can check those things on charts. The IP radar is the surefire way to get an idea of if the brand is potentially safe or not, and that's the great thing about having a tool like BuyBotPro. Not only are you finding products that are going to work, you are finding things that aren't going to work as well. So you are saved from bad deals, and obviously you'll be able to find out if things are a good deal or not. But yeah, those are 10 well-known brands that you cannot resell on Amazon. Have a great day.